Mr. Moore,
Huh,
do you mind doing the pledge and the prayer for us?
both.
Both. Got some time to catch up.
All right, well, we'll pray first. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, the time together, the opportunities you continue to give this community, and help us be good stewards. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first item is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the May 19th, 2025 meeting. Those are in your packet, and I believe in front of you.
I'll make a motion that we approve May's minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jay, if you would take the vote.
I'm sorry, you said second. Okay, sorry. Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sorrell,
yes,
Jarrett. Yes.
Okay, the next item is discussion and possible action on renewal of the MOU with Main Street for a one-year period from July 1st, 25 to June 30th, 26. That as well as in your packet. If you'll remember, we provided this at the May 19th meeting. This is something that we can ask questions about this time. We can discuss it more. We can motion to approve because it would just need to be done if we didn't want to see a lapse in the services from Main Street at this meeting or at the July meeting. And Bridget, if you want to come up and you can show them one of the items that has come out of this, which is the time frame app, and this is the next phase of that is some placemats that we'll do on the sidewalk that discuss the time frame app, and it was developed with Hope and TSET Healthy Living as well.
Yeah, I'll pass this around if it wants to take a closer look. It's not huge anyway. So yeah, last month I did distribute packets for everyone to review. I hope that you've had time to review those, and if you have any questions, I am willing to help answer any of those that I can. If I don't know the answer, then I will certainly find that out for you, but I feel fairly confident I should be able to answer everything. We're very excited about this collaboration. It is very, very important for not just our organization, but the continued revitalization and economic development of the downtown corridor. So without it, we'd be in dire straits to be able to have much impact at all. So we appreciate your collaboration, and I'm looking forward to your agreement.
And Bridget, this will pill and stick on the sidewalks,
That
right?
will pill and stick, yes.
And the idea is to give them a visual idea as
Yeah.
well as from the app of where the spot is.
It's for marketing purposes, it's for promotion, it's for helping with the walkability and the identification of the app. They can scan that QR code. That will take them to the Main Street website where the time frame information is located. It will, works for either Android or for an iPhone. There will be spots where you can get that information for either one to download the app and to explore downtown Pryor and explore its history, shop our local shops, patron them, and really help increase the sales tax revenue for our downtown district.
those will be
Along with-
where they stand to do the time frame app.
I'm sorry?
My understanding is those will be right where they need to stand.
Yes, I have 20 total
do
of them.
that.
We have 20 stops along the time frame app, walkability app.
And, while we're talking about that under the MOU, part of it is continued support for the time frame app, as well as continued updates. So even if you've done it once and earned your badge, we have the ability, they don't recommend more than 20 stops, but we
Right.
have the ability to add in additional photos.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Bridget's been working with Terry Lamar, I believe, is we kind of went back as far back as pictures, and now to add in photos of, different decades from those same buildings, so you have something to scroll through, and
Right.
once you have the badge, you can set it home too and see those photos. But they're pretty cool, and there's a voiceover that goes with them.
Yep, there's a written narrative and a voiceover narrative that goes along with it. This app was developed in Oklahoma, so, you know, we love supporting local. And there are other towns that also utilize this, Ponca City, the Greenwood District, Guthrie, Medicine Park. So, you know, once you get going, as you go and tour and explore Oklahoma and take those staycations, you know, we encourage you to visit other stops and collect all the badges.
But as for the MOU, it is a little bit different format than the previous one. Instead of just doing a one-page renewal of the previous one, which is, this would be third year. Went back and redesigned it with some of the feedback from the trustees about what we wanted to see, more interaction, more reporting. So instead of just
Expectations, accountability.
exactly. So instead of a monthly report, there will be a written quarterly report that Bridget provides along with the monthly updates. It's something a little more substantial in your hands that you'll have as people are asking, you know, what is Main Street doing under this? We've talked about some changes with the, not streetscape, with the facade grants, and being a little more deliberate with what the expectation is under those, and phasing away from some potted plants and things, which have been great, and they filled the need in the past, but doing something that kind of addresses some of those buildings downtown that do need some attention. That's built into this MOU.
This is really more mission-centric and vision-focused as a collective on where we want to go with the revitalization and economic development for downtown. And it's also giving some deliverables so that you guys have an actual, something that you can look at and it's tangible for your return on investment with Main Street.
And then it's really going to be focused on the management of the streetscape phase one, which because of ODOT, not because of ODOT, but because of the regulations and requirements that go along with ODOT, we could see, you know, the timelines from the time they approve the plans. What they say the other day, Ariana, is 6 months from the time 100% approval until you can have a groundbreaking. So as ODOT's working through those, that keeps getting moved, but that is in here to actively manage the streetscape and be that coordination piece between the city and MUB and everybody as they start working on that and making sure that those two entities are heavily informed of anything that's going on. The funding for it, because of some other funding from Fund 68 that's at the EDTA, we already have the funds to pay out underneath this. So once we approve this, it's good to go for the next year.
How much is it?
It's 60,000 that would be paid out under this, 5,000 per month, which is what we're currently doing. And then once it gets to Main Street, they use it within their budget to free up resources and allocate as they need for the facade grant, the time frame. So they do not submit invoices to us and then us submit back one that pays for the time frame map. That's all handled through Main Street's internal accounting.
Which is one reason why in this proposal, acting and more reporting on those actual deliverables so that you actually see a real ROI from your funds.
But I want to be very clear that part of getting this in front of the trustees starting last month was to make sure that it was well thought out, very transparent, and discussed, and it was not something that you guys saw on an agenda and then were expected to vote on it. So that was very deliberate from Bridget to have that on there. And if you feel like you have more questions or you need time to read through it, we are not a move things through really quick just to move it. This needs to be well thought out and discussed. So, any questions?
Yeah. Anything further you'd like to see? Expectations?
Just return on investment.
I'm sorry?
Just return on investment.
Yeah,
People want to,
agreed.
they want to see something with their eyes.
Agreed.
It's good to see things on paper, but we want an action, and I think.
On the street?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that's what I pushed for when I was there, is that people want to be a part of it, but they want to see what they're getting out of it. And so you got to make a difference that people can see, and when people see the difference, it becomes so much easier to get things going.
Bears on unicycles.
Whatever parade you're at, man, I don't know.
There you go.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU between us and Main Street.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Jay, if you would take the vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Swordall,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
The next item is discussion and possible action regarding the structural report for the Grand Community Building. Since this was put on the agenda, we have a better update. At first, we had not heard anything back about the structural report through the Main Street program, but Bridget called me right after we canceled our last meeting and moved it to today, and verified that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are the first ones in line for the structural report to be provided through the Main Street source. So given that, I think we should probably wait and go that route. The other alternative was, I did start receiving bids in. From one firm, it was $7,500, they charge per hour. We would be able to pull that down some based on what we really needed once they got in there and started looking at it. But they were already booking out for September. So even if Main Street's wasn't in July, firms are booking out in September, and I talked with them, and that was pretty much run of the course for everybody doing the structural reports right now. So unless you all want to have another discussion with it, we can just move on, because it sounds
So we're first in line, and the line forms when?
July 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
the agreement is re-signed with Main Street and the firm, and I did speak with the gentleman that is over that last week. And so we're looking at coordinating dates for July.
Awesome, thank you.
So we'll just move on. The next item is discussion and possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $4,750 to update the Aquatic Center master plan with phasing. So this is part of the pool task force. Mike got updated pricing from PDG. One of the things that the task force had noted as they went through everything was it's a pretty big project. Some of the feedback we got back from PDG, from Swanson House, and from our consultant on the business plan was, you should be prepared to phase this. And when we started breaking it down ourselves and looking at it, there's a lot of assumptions that have to go into what goes into a pool house or an equipment room. Contacted PDG, they told us they could break it down. The amount of funds that we have left that we've already allocated to that project was $4,000. So this is really only $750 more than what we were originally expecting to pay for this, for the pool study and the master planning. So, any questions? Mike's here if you have anything to ask him, but I think, Mike, once this is done and we get that through PDG, we're looking at 30 to 45 days before the final business plan is ready to be presented to the EDTA, and then we can take the recommendation on to City Council. Is that right?
I just want to say thank you to the individuals on that task force. I think it's important for everybody to understand the cost of this is quite steep to put in an aquatic center. And we want to make sure that as we go forward as a community, that the community understands we're taking the right steps and doing it the right way rather than just rushing in to build and do. But we've got to make sure that we're managing this process properly, and that task force is doing exactly what they were set forth to do.
And one thing that Mike's group has done very well, I think, is go back to some of the old studies that were done and have been paid for over the years and pulled data out of those and placed that into the case study and into the business plan so that there is at least some value in those previous reports that have been written about the existing pool structure. So if there's no other questions, get a motion or more discussion.
I'll move spending $4,750, actually $750, to update the Aquatic Center Master Plan with phasing.
I second.
Okay, Jay, if you would.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sordo,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item, discussion and possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $8,000 for the renovation of the 100-year barn at Giles Park to create an outdoor classroom to be used for no less than 10 years to be reimbursed by the United States Fish and Wildlife Service upon project completion. And for this one, I will turn it over to Mayor.
Awesome. So I was hoping that some of the individuals from USDA or the Mays County Conservation group would be here. Basically, you know, as we look at that area that we're referencing as possibly the future Giles Park, to be named that, we're trying to create outdoor classrooms for study of ecology, biology, whatever it may be. We have now the wildscape out there. We've got the butterfly way station. We have other things that we can do. There's a plan in place to create trail systems, to create locations in there, the marshy areas, and study marsh wetlands. We've had, OU has brought out several semesters of students from their engineering and ecological studies to do tremendous studies on the land in terms of like habitats, things like that. One of the things that we've been working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife on is an agreement for a shared cost on the renovation of the 100-year-old barn in there to be turned into a place where there would be outdoor classroom there. So if things got rainy or they needed to be inside, or a place where the schools or whoever, I say schools very, very generically, want to bring in microscopes and do some water studies, that would be a place that they could do that. And so U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Justin Westover, he's their program biologist, has found this opportunity for us to share the cost with them on them renovating that to make that classroom. So at this point, do we know what it looks like? It's very, very much going to stay the way it is, but make sure that it's structurally sound, add some electricity, and get it cleaned up so that it can serve as a classroom shelter on that property as it is.
Where is this?
You know where the animal shelter is?
I do know where it is.
So there's a red barn there,
Okay.
just literally 100 feet north of the animal shelter.
Okay.
That's where the butterfly way station is. There's all these things. There's the artesian well. There's marshlands. There's a waterway that was built in the 30s by the CCC. There's a lot of those things, and so we want to capitalize on letting that stay in its natural form, use it for the biology, the ecology studies, and things like that. And so the barn would be renovated and actually put to use.
Who came up with the $8,000?
That is the agreement with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So it's actually a $16,000 project. And in that, Adam, I didn't look, did that agreement make it to the, so I can get you guys a copy of that agreement. But it's,
So we're going halves with Fish and Wildlife initially, but once it's completed, they're gonna reimburse the $8,000?
correct, as
So
long
they
as we leave that for 10 years, the classroom.
Sure, we agree. 10 years.
Yep.
Huh. 16,000 doesn't sound like much. What needs to be done?
It just needs to be cleaned out, a little bit of structural reinforcements on some of the things that could be older.
Does it have a concrete floor in it already?
It does not, it's a earth floor. Now, there's a back portion that does have a concrete floor, but the front part is just like where you'd run your cattle into.
Correct me if I'm wrong, their plan is to just leave it as close to what it looks like right
Correct.
now as it does, and just improve some structural components that need improved, and then leave the rest of it.
Correct.
That's, I mean, then my
Leave the
opinion, that's why
authenticity
it's
of it.
such a low amount, is they're not really doing a renovation of it, they're just shoring it up.
Correct. But it will be usable as a classroom when they're done.
So let me show my, not paying attention. Giles Park, has there been a Giles Park designation for a specific area?
So that's actually on our next ordinance and insurance, is to officially create the ordinance to name that. It is going to be the 170 acres that was donated to the city by Tom Giles.
Okay,
So it goes up as far north as Old Airport Road, comes down to the North Elliott.
I'm
turn.
familiar with the land that he donated.
Yeah.
Is the park going to be the entire area that was donated?
Less what is there for the animal shelter.
And so this may preclude, I mean, some of that borders 69 highway, does it not?
No, well, down on the very south, very south end,
Yeah, I mean.
that does, it's in the 500 year plain. It is not developable land. And I will say that when I took an opportunity to ask Mr. Giles what his vision was for that donation, because there has been discussions about developing it up or turning it into a park or doing whatever. We went out there, we actually drove out through that property in his big red truck. And his was that he wanted a place for kids to play and learn off the streets.
Oh, I understand that. I just would be nice to make sure that there is, and I'm not saying there is, just make sure that there is not property that's developable along 69 highway, because that could have an economic impact to the town if there is. And maybe I'm thinking of some other property out there besides this. I thought there was some that was adjacent to 69. Maybe it's not developable.
So there is, I don't remember what the acreage is that was bought by,
North Star.
well, there's north of the storehouse. There's the land in front of directly to the west, when I say in front of, on that highway frontage. And then just to the south of there is, I wish I could remember the acreage. I want to say 17, but I'd be wrong if I quoted that. That was purchased by Limestone Construction for the development of housing. And they've got 5 acres that they've designated to retail commercial. So that has already been taken care of. That rezoning has already taken place. The part that the park would include right now is very undevelopable land.
Okay,
because
so
it's
there's,
so low.
Creek and all that stuff.
Just directly to the north of what is formerly the Nunley property,
Yeah.
now the Love
so there's,
property.
the property that is developable along 69 highway is not owned by the city of Pryor.
Correct. Correct. It's directly to the west of where the property is, and it does touch the highway. It is, so this does not.
And then, has the agreement been approved by the council with the United States Fish and Wildlife?
No, we had planned to run this through here.
Okay, but, so is the agreement to be with us, or is it to be with the city?
It'll be with you.
Okay,
with the
and
EDTA,
so there is a
us.
written agreement to view and see?
Mhm.
Okay, because we haven't seen that. And so does it provide, pay the 8,000 and they reimburse the 8,000 as soon as it's completed? Or surely we don't have to commit and wait 10 years to get the reimbursement?
No, it does. I'll forward that up to you guys. I'm not really sure how that didn't get in the agenda.
And I'm not saying this isn't something that shouldn't happen. It would be just nice to see the agreement before we start deciding to spend the money.
If there's still there, U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
There is.
How much money you got in Fund 68?
In Fund 68, about 600,000. But in EDTA account, about 200. So,
I mean, there's plenty of funds, again.
Zach, when do they want to
I'm
start
not trying
on
to create a problem, it would be nice to see the agreement, but.
I think they would start as soon as they can, that it just has to be completed before December 31st of '26,
Okay.
which there's definitely not that much work to do there.
So if we had this on the next agenda, there wouldn't be a problem, or,
I mean, if you guys want it on the next agenda, that's when we'll put it. I can get it to you again. Yeah,
or do you have,
I have it. I can go print a copy off if you guys want to wait, but I don't want to hold up the meeting.
The other problem with that, though, is it's not on the agenda, and it wasn't provided as part of the packet.
correct?
And so, and my concern is always for the open meeting procedures. I think it would be more appropriate to put it on the next agenda, make it part of the packet, so anybody who comes in and wants to look at it ahead of the meeting can also see it. So I think it would be appropriate to put on the next agenda, referencing the agreement and making it available for viewing before we have a discussion on it.
I'll make sure you guys get it.
Sounds good. Okay, so we'll put that on the next agenda, and we're adjourned.
I thought it was Jimmy Trammell Park, but it wasn't.
I thought there was one.